Hello, everyone. Today, I want to talk about the planets going retrograde and how we can work with them and not fear them. Right now, at the making of this video, Mercury is going retrograde, and this happens about 3 times a year. So you may have heard, there's a lot of commotion around this where there's posts like, surviving Mercury retrograde and like, oh no, here it comes. And all of this fear around it, which I was the same way, especially when noticing the things that would happen, the technical glitches that happen during Mercury retrograde. It can be kind of like, oh man, we have to really step up our game. And the thing is that all planets go retrograde. This is just what retrograde means is the planet appears to be moving backwards from the Earth's perspective. So we are the planet, we embody those planet archetypes. So when a planet appears to be going backwards, we need to be doing the same thing, meaning it's the perfect time to slow down and reevaluate things related to that planet and what the planet represents. So that's most of what you're going to hear all over social media during Mercury retrogrades. However, I want you to also look at where this planet is landing in your chart. So what we do in astrology is we are able to map the chart that you were born with, the moment that you had your first breath. That's the placement that the planets were at. That's your natal chart, and that's not going to change in this lifetime. And then we map it to what's happening in the sky right now. And from there, you can see where that planet is highlighting, what area or field of life experience it's highlighting in your personal chart. And that's going to help you see how it may be affecting you this time around. So every Mercury retrograde is going to be different. It's going to land in a different spot, and people are going to be handling it different as well. So that's why, since we're all unique, I find that it's important not only to understand your natal chart, but also to have that connection with your subconscious mind and that, those inner thoughts and emotions that are expressed in our dreams. So that's why I love talking about the combination of the two. And, so back to the retrogrades, you may read all these articles online giving you the gist of what Mercury retrograde is and how to survive it and what tips to do it, during this time. However, that's only a partial picture because, like I said, everyone's different, and you're also going to be expressing it differently each time it comes around. So keep that in mind. And as we continue with the example of Mercury retrograde, even though all planets do this and they all have their lesson, but Mercury specifically, people don't like it because it causes computer glitches when it goes retrograde. Also delays in travel and miscommunications. And even though we can prepare as much as we want, which is the benefit behind knowing when this is coming and mapping it out, putting it in your calendar. But there are going to be unforeseen things, right? So you can prepare this way now that you know that it's happening now, depending when you're watching this, you can check this online and everybody talks about Mercury retrograde. So it's quite easy to see when it's happening. But for this example, you can prepare by backing up your computer before that happens. That way, if there's a glitch, there's already a backup. You can leave ahead of time if you're planning to travel and it's something that can't be changed. I'm really not one to change certain plans. Like I prepare more and keep it in mind. And if I can change, like signing contracts, things like that, okay, I'll do it ahead of time. But, we can't always go off of the astrological calendar. However, we can become aware of it and prepare ourselves for it, by leaving ahead of time, like I said, to reduce any of those unforeseen delays, because even if you prepare ahead of time, other things can happen, right? There can be, things out of your control that'll happen. And also being extra conscious about the words that you say, because Mercury retrograde also causes a lot of miscommunication. But if you're aware of that and you kind of step back, think what you're going to say, maybe journal it a little bit more or have those deeper conversations when the energies aren't so chaotic, that'll be a lot better for everyone involved. Something on that note too is that another thing that I've learned, especially dealing with relationships and like just other people, is that we all handle things a lot differently, obviously. But if you understand how a person acts when they need some space, when they're feeling hurt, or when they're just in the midst of a challenge or a conflict, then you can better understand each other and not have this back and forth because they're not expressing or they're not handling the challenges the way that you would. So if somebody, like I like talking things out, I don't just like step away. I need to like handle it in that moment. But now that I understand that some people need that moment to pause, it becomes a better relationship with everyone involved when you understand how both people act. So that's like a separate note, but also related to astrology and how it can help. So, you know, this is going to help us be prepared. And what I like about this too is with that awareness, not only do you prepare, but also it's more of a sense of relief and somewhat of a control that even if you back up, even if you go ahead of time, to wherever your destination is and things happen, having that sense of like, well, I knew this was a possibility because Mercury is going retrograde. It's no big deal. It's a much different energy than when you're like, oh my God, why is everything happening to me? I missed my plane. My computer crashed. I'm having all these conflicts. Like, instead of just thinking, why is all this happening to me? You have an understanding that the planets are doing their thing and that you're doing the best that you can. And then of course, there are tools that I like talking about, like the oils and crystals and other things that can support you and your mood during these frustrating times. So those are some ways to work with that energy. And, like I said, we hear a lot about Mercury retrograde, but all the other planets go retrograde as well. Just that the frequency depends on how far they are. So for example, Venus retrograde, that is not an ideal time to start a new relationship, but it's great to revisit, what you're looking for in a partner, and also finances, because Venus relates to finances, abundance, and partnerships, relationships. So it's a good time for that. And during that time, you may see more of the exes come back into the picture or dreams of the exes. And it's not inviting you to just go back and be with them, unless that's what you really want to do. There'll be that energy of going back to it. But once you know that, that's what you're going to be more inclined to do. And these dreams kind of make it more confusing, but it's really showing you what it is that you're looking for, what situations you're no longer being a yes to, and just the boundaries that you had. And, even why it didn't work in the first place, so that you can have a clear idea of what it is that you want moving forward. Or if you're seeing some patterns again, then you can work them out once the planet goes direct, which then gives us the momentum to use what we learned during that period to move forward into that relationship or those contracts or, those projects and things like that. And same with Saturn. Saturn is the planet of, I'm getting tongue twisted, the planet of work and responsibilities and boundaries too. So that is a good time to revisit the projects that you had that you didn't complete, what needs to be worked on and revisited, and bring it back. And then just what's not in alignment anymore, and, just replanning out and revisiting those responsibilities for you. So there's a lot that can come from it. And I find the most helpful thing during this time is to know exactly where it's impacting you, so that you can understand it and see the lessons that it's trying to teach you. And then you have that much of a more clear idea when the planet goes direct, that you can then move with that momentum. So that's something that, like I said, you can do by comparing your natal chart with your current transits. And, I talk all about that in my course, Cosmic Dream Alchemy. But for the meantime, I want to share with you all a free workshop that's actually happening this week. It's a webinar where we're going to be talking just about this, clearing the subconscious blockages and using astrology to really live out that dream life. So if you haven't signed up for that, go to the link in my bio to join us. I'm going to have 2 sessions this week, and I would love to have you there live. I'll be answering questions at the end of the webinar. So hope to see you there. And in the meantime, I will answer any comments, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye.